Well, hello everyone. This is Robin Carter with Robin's Creations. I am an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator out of Flower Mound, Texas, and today I'm here to continue making alternatives with my Expressions of Kindness kit right here. So I do have one video out that I did a while back before November, and I was sick and then the holidays came. So I wanted to continue finishing out that kit with you this week. I will put a link at the end of this video in case you missed that alternative of where you can find that and see the alternatives I made using the envelopes. So, by the way, if you are new to my channel, I hope you find some great tips along the way. I keep my videos real, and any mistakes I make, I try to correct on screen so that you know what to do in case you make those same mistakes. And if you find some tips, maybe you're new to my channel or you have yet to subscribe, I would really appreciate if you would hit the subscription button to my YouTube channel. So let me switch to hands down and share some, just a little bit of news I have before we get started. Okay, a lot of you are probably my Paper Pumpkin fans, and I just want to let you know that the January subscription period ended yesterday. Today is January 11th of 2025. So, but going on now is the Hello Spring Paper Pumpkin Kit. It is going to create 9 cards. And by the way, this kit coordinates with the Grow with Love bundle, if that's something you would be interested in. The item number for this bundle is 164804. It says right here on this flyer. And it looks like it has some very pretty coordinating colors along here. You can kind of see the little graph they have. And I will go into March as the March subscription period begins, but I also want to point out that there are add-on dies for this quarter of 2025's Paper Pumpkins. So the item number for it is 166237, and you get 5 dies. This heart, in one pass, it creates the outline and the inside of the heart. And then this is some chives that I believe they meant for this February kit. And then there are the bee and the honeycomb dies. And I shared those in my last Paper Pumpkin for December. I used actually the bee in one of my alternatives there. So they're very cute dies, so don't miss out on those. Let me just set that aside. Also going on now through February 28th is Celebration, and it's a great time to pick up get extra value for your purchases. So there are items you can pick with a $60 purchase, and there's also some that bigger items you can pick for $120, like this is one of them. And also, if you've ever thought about being a demonstrator, it's a great time to join, because not only do you get the 125 or 35, well, I'll get that right here, choosing $125 of products for only $99, which includes shipping, you also get 2 options. You can either pick 2 of the Stampin' Right marker sets. So those are by color family, and you get this stamp set as well. Or if you maybe already have these or that doesn't interest you, you can choose an additional $30 in free products. So a great time to join. So that is going on now. And if you don't have a physical catalog, you can find a digital download on my blog site in the sidebar. If you're looking on your mobile phone, it may be way at the bottom. I just know on the computer it's in the sidebar. Also going on is the new mini catalog. We call it the spring, January through April. So again, that is also on my blog as well. So lots of goodies in here. I'm not going to take much more of your time. I'm going to get straight to the alternatives because I'm hoping to get through the rest of mine. So let's get started. The first thing I want to do is use the card base that's meant for this little what's that called? Watercolor wash. And so I think I still have 1 or 2 in here. Yeah, it's this card base right here. So to get started with, I cut this in at 4 1/8 on this side, the blank side, and then 5 3/8. And then I trimmed this side down. I think it did okay to do it at 4 1/8 here. And then to get my 5 3/8, I took a little off each end so that it was kind of equal of the watercolor wash on each side. So let me get those out for you. All right. So I decided on this one just to make it like it said. So I have one done already. I pretty much did what it said. So let's get out the material for those items. All right, I have them all in my little organizers right here. You get a sneak peek of what we're going to use. So they have these lovely flowers for us already. And be careful. You can see one of mine kind of bent already. But be careful if they get tangled up, that you just carefully separate them. Okay, and then they gave us these lovely gold backgrounds or gold leafing to go with that. Okay, so here are mine, and I know that's it could be very shiny. So you want to be very careful taking these out as well. They are laser cut in this gold. So just be careful when you're pulling those that you don't break it, because they are very delicate. All right. Get mine out of there. Okay, and by the way, I wouldn't throw this away. You can always either punch little circles for embellishments or do some other die cutting with that. So I have both of those. And then we need our usual thick white card base that I love to use with my alternatives. So I have that here, and I'm just going to fill to see. I'm going to see if I can score. You see that, how it's just a little off right there? It may not show real well. I'm going to see if I can manhandle that and at least get the top square. So I hold the corner where it's not correct, and then I re-score it. I usually have my glass mat and it works better. But let me try that again. And you can see here I'm having to push down on this side to rescore it. So there we go. That's a little better, and I can feel that this one is a little longer. So I'm going to make that my top. So this is very easy. We're just going to adhere this to our card base. Just do this one real quick, and I'll show you what I did with the other half of it when we finish putting this together. All right, so with this card base, you're going to get, is it 8? Are there 4 of each? I've already forgotten. Okay, I'm trying not to shake my table too much because my camera is attached to my table, but you kind of want to smooth that out so there's no lumps in your paper from the glue. All right, and then very easily we're going to put this down first. Now they gave us little glue dots. I'm going to go with my Tombow multi-purpose glue and just kind of put them in spots that are bigger. And you don't need something on everything. It would have been nice had they, oh, I gotta do the other one first, the flowers first. If they had put adhesive sheet on that, like we do with our delicate die cuts. All right, so just a few dots, and then decide where you want to put that. I'm just kind of going to eyeball the center, and then grab my delicate little gold leaf and put that kind of off to the side so I still see my flowers. Okay, and then you can choose a sentiment. So in this kit, I'm choosing just a note. There are other sentiments, or at least one other sentiment. I haven't used it. I find just a note is good for any occasion, or most occasions anyway. So by the way, if you purchase this kit from me, I will send you a sleeve to store your stamp set in. And so you can be looking for that. There is a birthday sentiment. Let me see if it's over here as well. Okay, so here's the other sentiment. I had put it on my Stamparatus. It's a birthday sentiment, and I already have one stamp, so I'm going to use that right here for this card. And I'm going to get some of the ribbon that came in the kit, this white ribbon, and I want to put a little swoosh of ribbon back there. So I just kind of measure about how big I want it by kind of laying it on there. And then I get my scissors and trim. Okay, now the best way I know to keep it in place, you could just make sure your dimensionals hit that, but then I find if I just want a little border that it's not sitting on there well. So I put some glue dots on the bottom of my ribbon to hold it in spot. So I just get some glue dots. These are from the Paper Pumpkin and kits usually. These kind. Some people have a love-hate relationship with them. I like them actually. I think they do fine. Especially if you have an embellishment that has either fallen off or, you know, I don't want to cover up that flower very much. Let's bring that down a little bit. Get that where I want it. Put this glue dot on the back of this flag to hold it down. Okay, and then I like that to sit down as well. So one thing I do is I kind of glue the bottom part, and that way when I put my label on top, I think I took the whole thing off. No glue dot. Okay, let's get a new one. You know, I have these big ones from a kit a while back. It's about the size of the normal size glue dot, maybe a little bigger, but it's gonna work. Okay, that way that is down. So now I can get my sentiment and some dimensionals. And put this on here. Okay, and then of course they gave us these nice embellishments in the kit, which I'll put on later, but I want to move on to probably why you joined me. It's to see the alternative with the other half. So let me get started with it. So the other half was blank. Now, what I did ahead of time was I added my own watercolor wash to this piece of paper. So I love our watercolor brushes because they have this wide bristled one, and so it works really well to make a watercolor wash. So you can see here on a scrap piece of paper, I kind of practiced to know what I was doing. But here I have a puddle of Lost Lagoon still on this, and I just want to ink it up a little. Now I have some water in my tube, so I can squeeze to get some water. Now I wanted a nice dark color, so I did use a drop of the re-inker so that I had plenty of color. If you don't have the re-inker, just be sure and tap your ink pad onto a block really firm, and then you just want to start over to the side. Let me just kind of, so you just want to kind of practice on a piece of scrap paper, one, to make sure it's the depth that you want it, and two, just to kind of get the feel of doing that. Now take note that when you go to fill your water painters, they don't twist lefty-loosey, righty-tighty. So you can see I'm twisting this to the right, and that's how you get it open to add your water. And here's another tip. So I went and found these Beauty Salon leak-proof applicators. Okay, and that's what I use to fill up my water. So this little tip fits right in there. I mean, I try to get water all over and squeeze. And then I filled up my water painter. So then you can put that back on. And again, it's the other way. It's lefty to put it back on there. So backwards from what normal things are, lefty-loosey, righty-tighty. And then when I go to clean these, I get a paper towel and I take my same water and just squeeze water on there. and until it's clear, and then they're ready to go. Now your bristles may be stained, and that's okay. Just make sure that when you go on your paper towel, you wash it until it's no color showing. So I hope that helps you with our watercolors. But as you can see here, I did this and then I hit my heat gun to it. And because it's not watercolor paper, it's kind of wrinkled. So here's what I found works for a good fix. Now, unfortunately, you're not going to be able to see this, but I'm going to take this off the end of my table and pull it down, just kind of to break up some of the pattern. So I'm going to take it off my end of my table here. I'm pulling, all right, to kind of curl it that way. And then I'm going to turn it this way and do the same thing. And you can just keep doing that until it's semi-flat. So let me do this way one more time. You may want to do it from both sides. Okay, if you embossed it, it would work well too. But that kind of helps break it up so that you can glue it flat to a card base. So let's go ahead and do that. Let me get a thick white card base ready. So, you know, you can, if you're not comfortable doing that, you could probably take your grid stamp that came in this kit and just make a nice little background on that. But I kind of wanted to recreate a watercolor wash look, so that's what I did. Get my bone folder and crease that well. All right. And let's add this to here. You will want your paper to be dry. Like I said, I hit mine with the heat gun so I could dry it. And if you're at all afraid it's not going to lay flat, you could use adhesive or double adhesive, or just be kind of generous with your liquid glue. So I'm going to go with the bottle so that I get a good amount as close to the edge as possible. And I'm going to set this down and adhere it there. So because I want it to lay flat, I'm going to kind of press and hold down the sides. I probably could have worked it a little more, loosening up the paper. You could also set a book on top of this and let it dry for a second, but mine's done pretty well. So that's how I got it not to be all curly on there. All right, so now I want to decorate the front. So like I used in my envelopes, and I loved using this set again, was the Thoughtful Wishes. So it has, here's the dies, and here is the stamp set. So it has the same thistle, let me say that correct, flower that's the accent flower of this kindness, this Expressions of Kindness kit. I don't know why I have a hard time remembering the name of the kit. So I'm going to show you how I used these right here and the dies. So I have already cut some of the leaves, and then I pre-cut the thistle die. Now my finger's all inky. Now notice what I did, because the die itself doesn't go into this detail. I went in with an X-Acto knife and cut a detail from the inside so I could see through it. I'm trying to line that up so you can kind of see. Okay, I did that once, and then I made a cut file by scanning this in my Scan and Cut. Now, unfortunately, I would love to put this on my Etsy shop, but I'm not allowed to because it traces a flower. So, like I said, you can get an X-Acto knife if you want to cut in there, or just use it like it is, and it'll be fine. I just wanted more detail to show through. All right, so I'm going to get out my Stamparatus. This is my stamp positioning tool of choice. So I'm going to continue to use it even though Stampin' Up! Is no longer able to sell it. The current one on the market is the Misty, and it works well too. I do highly recommend these. It helps a lot. So you may be wondering what I have here if you're new to my channel. So what I do is I ink up, I put my stamp where I know it's going to fit somewhere here with a little room for some paper. And then I stamp it on this grid. And then I take my negative after I've die cut this, And I can see it stamped on there, and I kind of line it up where it inked. And that way I know I can just cut these as many as I need and then ink and stamp, so that I'm not stamping, die cutting, stamping, lining it up, die cutting. So it's a little work up front, but it helps a lot in getting my images straight, for one. And then I save paper because I can die cut these much closer than I could blank than trying to stamp and cut. All right, so there is that. Let me get my little piece of my chamois, clean that off. And now I'm going to stamp my thistle flower. Okay, and so here is how I did this. So I'm going to use Lost Lagoon and Blackberry Bliss. There it is. My Lost Lagoon almost was missing. So I'm not going to worry about not trying to get on the flowers because the Blackberry Bliss is so thick, dark that it's going to hide that Lost Lagoon. Now, if you wanted to get a little off, you can take your paper towel. Like this top one's pretty easy to get some of it off. Maybe this one. You could also go in with a blender pen and erase that, and I just re-inked it. Oh well, I'm going to show you how it works, not taking any off. All right. I do have one little flower that tends to be troublesome. I don't know if my stamp is messed up or what. I'll keep working with it. See, it leaves a circle there, but the ink is on the pad, so I don't think my stamp apparatus is crooked there. Okay, I'm going to pick it up and really squeeze it in case it's something with my table, but I don't think so. All right, so I'm almost happy with that. Let me get this leaf here. Oh, not with Blackberry Bliss. That would be a mess up. Okay. All right, so let's pick that up. And I'm just going to take my marker, since I'm having trouble with that spot on the stamp, and fill that in. I think after this video, I'm going to take it off my Stamparatus and see if it still does that. If so, I may have to call Stampin' Up. All right, I shouldn't have taken that out. I'm going to put it back in there and get my chamois piece again. Clear off the Lost Lagoon because now I want to do the flowers in Blackberry Bliss. Now I have the markers. And I didn't close this up, but we're going to need it in just a second. So I have the markers. So I took my Blackberry Bliss and I used the brush end and I work from the side. You know, you can work from the tip a little bit. You just don't want to damage your brush tips. So work carefully. By the way, so if you don't have the markers, it'd be a great time to join my team, and you could choose the neutral markers. And what family are these in? It's Lost Lagoons in the soft subtles, and you would get those as part of your starter kit. All right, so I'm just using my finger to get it off where it went too far down. And this one has a little flower right on the end. Now, when you use markers, you are going to want to huff on it. So I may have to get my head in here. So your moisture helps to reactivate the ink in case it dried on your stamp. So sometimes I do this twice. Let's see how dark it is. All right, and see how that one covered up the Lost Lagoon? So that worked well. And again, I'm having trouble with that one flower. Maybe my stamp is defective. And I'm going to ink it one more time. It kind of got on there. And then I'm going to get a drink because my throat is getting dry. Okay, hopefully that is good. Pretty good. Maybe I need to put a piece of paper under here to help lift it up. I don't know what's happening with that. Hopefully yours is not giving you trouble. Okay, I'm going to go with that even though it's just there. I pressed really hard to get that to work. All right, so let me get this out of here. And then we're going to color the leaves and our wild wheat. And since I used the water painters on this, I'm also going to use water painter on these. Now for this one, I'm going to use the finer tip one. And notice I didn't put any water in here. And I did that on purpose. When I color regular paper like this, and this is a thicker paper, not the thin basic white, I don't put any inker in here. I like to control the amount of water with water in a little glass like this. So I'm going to get my wild wheat clear block. These I collect from the kits that come with a little wimpy block. I do prefer ours that have the little grips on them, but I save these to use as palettes. So I'm going to put some more ink on here. Okay, and then I can close this up. And then I control the amount of water by dipping in here. And then I need to move all this. Blending it that way. Okay, and then you want to keep a paper towel nearby in case your brush is too wet and it's hard to see over that pumpkin. So that paper pumpkin set there. All right, so I'm gonna just start coloring. And again, you just have to barely press down till the tip hits the paper. And if you want it lighter, you just work it off the side like that. And I can get several leaves before I have to re-dip. Like this little one, you just barely run your brush along there. Now there are multiple ways you could color this with a blender pen, doing almost the same technique, except you'd have a blender pen picking up ink rather than this water painter. I showed in one video, so I had a blends. Well, you could obviously use the blends for this. I don't have a wild wheat blend. I chose not to get that one. Need a little more water. And I had the color lifter blend that helps if you color outside the lines. Anyway, I had one that had gone dry, and I had this, oh, it's not on my table. Here it is. I bought this alcohol blending solution, and I kind of put some on the tips of that color lifter, and it works pretty well like a water painter. Now, it's not going to blend the inks like our blends do so wonderfully, but I just thought that's another use for if your tip is good. Now, if your tip is bad, just it's time to get a new one. But my tip was still really good, and I thought, is there any way I could use this almost like a blender pen or a watercolor brush? And it did. That was way off subject, but I just thought of that while I was coloring. All right, and now time to do the leaves. So I do need to have another glass here. It's clear water, so I do the yellow. And I'm just going to clear this off till it's no longer the wild wheat color. And that's close enough, I think. And then I'm going to get this pretty wet. I think my Lost Lagoon is still wet enough. And then I'm going to color in the leaves. And again, we're doing such little coloring that I think watercolor works fine for these leaves. Not getting it very wet at all. So we should be fine not using watercolor paper. Now you could do this in watercolor paper if that's what you wanted to do, but that worked fine for me. So now we have these colored, and we're going to use that on our card. And then also, did I already point this out? I loved this die right here of this big leaf. So I knew I wanted to add it to give some gold to this card. And hopefully I put it right over here because I just made some extras. Okay, I did. It's right here. Now it does help to use the adhesive sheets with this, so you get some adhesive on there. There are plenty of places you could put little dots of glue or use glue dots, but now I have to find where I started because I just used like a 1-inch strip down the center of it. Here's part of it. There we go. And the other thing I like about it is it generally helps get a lot of those little gold bits out. Can you see that? Let's hold up something white. See those gold bits it pulled out? I think it left one, but it got most of them. Okay, and then I'm going to put this down in the center. Isn't that gorgeous? I just love this leaf. Let me put that more in the center of the screen there for you. All right, so you can see the adhesive sheet really helps with that. So I'm going to kind of do a little arrangement here. And I'm going to use glue dots on this because the glue dot, liquid glue doesn't stick really well to this shiny gold. This gold paper, believe it, it is very old. Long ago, there was a Christmas kit and it had gold envelope liners. And I didn't use the liners. I saved the gold and I use it for die cutting. So, but gold paper is fine. That would work. Even the distressed gold I think we had would be pretty. I think I have some of it as well. But I just trying to use up those envelopes. I did several kits of that. It was a Christmas kit and you could get refills, I think. Because it had a separate stamp set. That was a long time ago though. All right, getting the backings off. I'm going to put this down somewhere like that. And then my little thistle here, I want to put on dimensionals, and my dimensionals disappear, and I'm going to start a new pack. Here's some minis, and minis will work well. All right, so I'm going to put some here. That way I don't have to cut them. They're a good size for this. What do you guys think so far? I know I'm just getting started back on this kit. If I haven't already said, I will put a link to my first alternative where I use the envelopes at the end of this video. So in case you missed that, because it's been a while ago. All right. Get the backings off. My fingernails all broke, so I had to cut them off to be the same length, and I'm having trouble without my usual fingernails. All right, then I'm going to put this just kind of off to the side like that. Okay, and then we can add a sentiment. Now you can use one of their labels from the kit. That's okay. I kind of like the white that I cut my own with. I think I'm going to leave this one blank, and here I just kind of showed you. Here's some that I did ahead of time. So you can see I did a different watercolor wash. It's a little lighter, but I like both of them. This one is before I learned how to run my paper off the side, so it's almost a little off. And I did use some gold embellishments in the butterfly. This one I did, and I decided I wasn't a fan of it. I added some of that grid on the watercolor wash. I don't know. What do you think? I have 3 there to choose from. This one obviously is lighter. This one's darker. This one is darker with the grid stamping. So I thought I'd give you a little variety there to choose from. And that's how that works. Now, here's another thing that I've shown on another card. Well, you know what? I'm going to save that. I'll show you those when I do the detail cards. But anyway, here is the alternative you can do for the back of this piece from the kit. So let's move on now to the beautiful card bases, and I'll show you the alternatives I have for those. All right, so In the kit, we have this full, beautifully colored card base. So you know me, I'm going to cut this up. I don't want that on the back, and I'm going to get 4 cards out of this. So the first thing I did is cut it in the center, and this one I cut in half, so that would be 2 1/8. And this one I cut this end at like 2 because I didn't want to cut off that flower, and I have those pre-cut already in a little envelope for us. All right, so for this card, again, we're going to need a thick white card base. I should have those in a little envelope as well. I've got cards all over the place now. All right, here we go. Thick white card base, and then an embossed layer in white. Now, I have several examples here to show you. This is the new, let me get the folder. The Modern Herringbone 3D, and I used it in my first alternative sum. For this one, I'm going to use one that's been a while since the new big catalog, the Eyelet 3D. I really like the look of that. But also, this just come out that you're able to get with a $60 purchase is this Starstruck, and I did use it in the last Paper Pumpkins. So really any embossing folder you have, there you can kind of see the detail of that, would work. I'm going to stick with the eyelet because that's what I used on the other one. And then, like I said, I have these pieces cut already. Now I've already used one of them, so I had an example for you. But let's see. So you can see this one's just a little bit bigger. Yeah, it's like 2 1/4 because I didn't want to cut off the flower. And here's the other side, and I've already made one with that I'll show you when we're done with this alternative. But in our kit is the flower pieces to the thistle, so we want to stamp it on there and just over the purpley part. Now let me get a piece of scrap. You know what? I'm not going to worry about it. I've already got some ink on this. So I'm just going to let this go off onto my grid paper. Okay, and then for the teeny tiny one, I'm going to clean this off back here with my chamois, and I'm going to ink up just like half of it. Let me see if I can, I don't think that was off camera. I'm just going to ink off half of it to go on this little flower right there. So that kind of works. It's not perfect, but at least it gives it some color. All right, I'm going to let that dry a second, but eventually we're going to put this on one side of the card. Now you can decide, do you like it like that, or do you like it on this side? Okay, and so I'm going to put it on the left, I think. Now I did not trim the top of this, and there's kind of a good reason. I like to put it on there first and then use my scissors to get it exactly that size. So let's get the Tombow multi-purpose glue. I'm fanning it a little, hoping that it's dry. Sometimes on the kits, including the Paper Pumpkin, it takes a little bit for the ink to dry. I guess it's a little slick kind of base. All right, so I'm going to trim off the top and leave the more detailed leaves there. So I just tap it on my desk to get it square. Now, if you like leaving a little white border, I think that's how I did my first one. I'll show you how it looks, but this one I'm going to do all the way on the side. So I flip it over, take my little scissors, and trim it, and that way it's the exact length of that layer. Okay, and then I have some ribbon. So this was on the last chance. I forgot to look and see if it was still available, but it is Blackberry Bliss and Gold. Item number 164039. And so I'm going to just do my ribbon saving and just get enough to fold over. Going to get some tear and tape to put on the back to hold it down strongly. Take off the backing. Okay, you could use the white if that's all you had, but I wanted to add a little more color to this. I didn't have this in when I did my first set of alternatives with the envelopes. All right, so when you have an emboss layer, see how you can kind of line it up with the pattern to make sure it's straight? I like that. To have something to line it up with. All right, so we're going to put this on our thick white card base. Let me feel, make sure. Yes, that one is the larger one. Now, when you have an embossed piece, you may want to do the glue a little heavier just because the glue will sit down in the nooks and crannies. So I'm going to use my bottle for that. And let's put this on our card base. Okay. Now I had two ways that I decorated, and I'm going to use my new way, and I'll show you the other way with that. This one I do have some tear and tape on. I learned after I did that first one that, hey, tear and tape would be great. All right, so you can see here when you pull, what I like is it helps get out those little bitty pieces. You see the gold on the little bitty pieces? I don't know if that shows, but anyway, when you use tear and tape, it helps pull those out, although I just used like a 1-inch strip down the center. I didn't cover the whole thing. And then I'm going to put this right here on this piece. And then to save time, I went ahead and pre-colored, like we did with our first one, these two pieces from the Thoughtful Wishes. And so we want to adhere these down. Now, since my liquid glue didn't work so well, I think I need to use glue dots because of the gold. The gold, shiny gold here, it didn't want to stick to that too well. So I'm going to put some glue dots on the wild wheat leaves. How am I doing on time? Not doing too bad. Okay, let's put that down. And again, make sure it doesn't hang off the card because you want it to fit in a in an envelope. Looks like I need one more glue dot to hold down the bottom here. And then this again, I'm going to put on dimensionals because I like to give it a different height. And where did I? Here's another little sheet. Put my glue dot back up there. Again, just put the halves on the bigger pieces, and then I have to cut another little section. And I'm going to have some of those to put like on the flower. I think a bigger piece will fit there. And you get my other little half and put it here. Okay, so by cutting this into 4s, we can get 16, right? Is there 4 of each one? Let me double check with my instructions. So 16 from that. I believe I got 3 from the envelopes out of each envelope. Okay, and then I have a few more things I wanted to add. So back, I did look, this is no longer available, but on the last chance list, I did use this butterfly from the designer series tags. There are several butterfly options. Check your stash. I bet you have a butterfly. There was even one in the add-on dies from last year's paper pumpkins. So look around and see if you have those. I think I'm going to put him up there. Kind of deciding on where the flowers are is where you will put a butterfly, or you could use the bee from the new add-on dies. That would be kind of cute too. I'm going to do the butterfly flying in. On my envelope cards, I did a different butterfly, but this one's just in Blackberry Bliss to add more color. And then we need a sentiment. So you can pick your sentiment. You can use either a label from the kit or make your own labels if you're out of those. I'm going to leave this one blank because I will add a sentiment as I see I need a card to use. But here is my finished one that I did ahead of time. So with this one, the flowers were up here, so I did the butterfly here. And to kind of help fill in this piece, I did the grid stamp second generation ink. And what that means is I inked it up, stamped once off on some scrap paper, and then I stamped here so it was really faint. And I did it up here as well under the note, the just a note sentiment. And to add a little more bling, I put just a scrap piece of gold that I had left after die cutting some of these underneath there to give it a little more bling. So as you can see, you can make 4 of those. And I'm not worried about the gold standing off. Now this one will be pretty. I think it would make sense to put it where the gold goes off. And this one maybe this way where the gold goes off the side there. So those are 4 different ways. Let me show you another one that I did. Now for this one, I mounted the leaves and the flower on my, get the dies so I say the right name, my Nested Essentials dies. So I took this 3rd largest one and cut a Blackberry Bliss one, and then I took the 2nd one and did the white piece and mounted it there. And there's a different way to do your butterflies. I just colored some white paper with a blending brush with the Lost Lagoon, and this one I put 2 on there. So that's just another way you could decorate it. You can see this was before I got in my Blackberry Bliss ribbon. It's just some, I think some fig ribbon that I had in my stash. So those are just 2 different ways you could color them to come up with different combinations of your flowers. Again, here are the ones I did with the envelopes. They're already in plastic sleeves, so I have to kind of excuse those. But these I made using the envelopes. So again, you can get 3 from each envelope. So you can make quite a bit of alternates with this kit if you want to make alternates. Of course, they are beautiful as they are. Let me switch back to me so you're not just staring at my blank desk. Okay, so thanks for joining me, everyone. The best compliment you can give me is a thumbs up to this video, subscribe to my YouTube channel, and share this with your other paper crafting friends. So I hope you've enjoyed this kit. If you have it, I think it's just beautiful. And I'm looking forward to working with the next paper pumpkin, which should be going in the mail hopefully Monday. Sometimes mine doesn't leave right away. I don't know why. Sometimes I get it early. Sometimes I get it late. So it's just kind of a toss-up of when I will get my kit. So Happy New Year, everyone. If this is the first video you're watching me on this year. And check out my YouTube channel where I have many alternatives from paper pumpkins and other card classes on there. I'm going to try hard in 2025 to do more of the bundle focused classes. So hopefully I will have time to do that in the near future. So thanks for joining me, everyone. I hope you enjoy this kit. If you have any questions, always leave me a comment. And I love to read all your comments and your kind expressions of thank you. So until my next video, everyone, bye-bye.